You are now tuned in to Heat Check with Slatter and Antonio Turner, right here on GTA Sports Network. Follow GTA Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, GTA Sports. And don't forget GTASportsNet.com for all things in the world of sports. Hello, everyone. It's Slatter with GTA Sports, and welcome to another edition of GTA Heat Check's ISO mode. Make sure you follow GTA Heat Check and GTA Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, GTA Sports. And don't forget GTASportsNet.com for all things in the world of sports. And in my previous video regarding the Detroit Pistons winning draft night, I told you all that I was going to make an ISO mode about the Charlotte Hornets. Forgive me for taking a couple of days to get prepared for this. The Charlotte Hornets lost the trade when they sent off Deandre to the Pistons for multiple future draft picks. Now you're probably thinking, how did a team lose a trade on draft night on a player that has yet to prove himself in the NBA? Well, I'm going to tell you. Deandre is what they needed as a big. Can spread the floor, can shoot, get to the rim, throw it down with ferocity, aggression, everything in the paint that they're lacking on the roster currently. Deandre fills that role. Now, this is no disrespect to Mark Williams, and I cannot wait to see what Mark Williams does in the Summer League. But based on what I know they need and what they don't have currently, I would have kept both and probably split the minute. And quick shout out to my man over at Ball Facts. We got an exclusive interview we'll be dropping soon. We just got it recorded, got to get it in post-production today. But we talked about the Charlotte Hornets and where they screwed up and fumbled the bag on a few different occasions. Let me start off by saying they overpaid Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward, for those who don't know. So those contracts are hard to move. Terry, you can move because he's not as injury prone. Gordon Hayward, on the hand, is going to be a little bit more challenging. So, of course, there are some trade scenarios that are out there. This one here comes from NBAanalysis.net by James Piercy. These are some trade scenarios for Gordon Hayward that I think should be thrown into the equation and should actually be at least considered. Now, this is the more common one if you heard most of the reports. The Charlotte Hornets reportedly are still mutually interested in Russell Westbrook. So the trade scenario they have here is Russell Westbrook with the 2027 first-round pick that the Lakers are holding on to for dear life. They're not trying to let that go. And, of course, the Lakers would receive Gordon Hayward and Terry Rozier in return. Now, according to the new head coach of the Lakers, Darvin Ham, they're going to do all the right things to keep Russell there. He seems excited to coach Westbrook. I hope to, if he does stay, that does work out. I can't tell if he really truly wants to keep Russ there or if that's a smokescreen to up his trade value, because as it stood prior to Darvin Ham's press conference, once he got the head coaching position, Westbrook's value wasn't that good, not because he's not a good player, but because his contract that he's opting into, which I believe is a $47 million opt-in, is steep for the numbers he's given in production. So, a lot of teams that could get Russell don't want Russell, not because he's not good, but because his contract is so steep and expensive. You're taking a hit on your salary cap, whoever decides to pick him up. So, because everybody pretty much expects him to opt in to his $47 million contract, for last year. So it's an expiring contract. It's just a very expensive one. The Hornets, I don't feel like they need to make that move. I don't know what would possess them to want him so badly, unless it's just the fact that he's Team Jordan and Jordan wants him. I don't know. But I don't know. I think if it does happen, I think it depends on his performance with the Lakers this year. because they could, send him home, waive him, sit him out for the year, and the Hornets could buy him out as well. But if he's willing to accept a 6-man role, then he might actually work for the Hornets because they do need some scoring off the bench, especially if you get rid of Terry Rozier, and he's not willing to come off the bench anyway. So I like the idea, but mainly because it gets Gordon Hayward off of the Hornets books, because that contract is terrible. He has yet to play up to it. That $120 million contract he got is god awful. So there's another trade scenario we have here, according to James Piercy over at NBAanalysis.net. We got the Hornets receiving Jacob Portal, Doug McDermott, and Josh Richardson from the San Antonio Spurs, while the San Antonio Spurs get Gordon Hayward in the 2023 first-round pick from Denver via Charlotte. So, I don't know if the Spurs will be willing to make this trade because of how essential he is to the team at the 5. But he would definitely be an asset, not a liability, in Charlotte. Portal and Richardson are on expiring contracts in San Antonio, so I could definitely see that. Doug McDermott's contract runs just as long as Gordon's, but with half the price because they didn't overpay for him. So, money-wise, it works good. I just don't know if it's going to happen, to be honest. It looks a little questionable. Ooh, I like this one here. So, the other one they have here, this is from James Piercy over at NBA Analysis Network. This is a 3-team trade from the looks of it, between the Bulls, the Hornets, and the 76ers. So, in this 3-team trade, the Bulls would get Tobias Harris and a 2028 first-round pick from Philly. The Hornets would get Nikola Vucevic, who doesn't really fit the Bulls, and I talked more about this on the interview I did with Ball Facts. So when that comes out, you'll get my take on Vucevic, because we definitely broke that down. And the 76ers will receive Gordon Hayward. Now, honestly, this is not a bad trade either. However, it's not as necessary now because they drafted Mark Williams with the 15th pick. So since they got him and they sent off Duran to Detroit, this could happen, but it's not likely. And I'm only saying that because it depends on if Philly's ready to let go of Tobias Harris's contract yet or not. I don't know if they're ready to pull that trigger just yet. There are rumblings, but it's not been confirmed that he's on the market or that they're shopping him. I'm sure if a team wanted to make an offer for Tobias Harris, it would have to be a very lucrative offer in order for Daryl Morey to even blink or think of picking up the phone. Here's my issue with Charlotte. Let's just run down history, okay? The Charlotte Hornets should have been in the playoff picture 2 years ago. In Melo's rookie season, they were top 5 in the East until he broke his wrist. Had to have wrist surgery. It was projected initially to be out for the rest of the season. However, his team slumped immediately, went to a nosedive as soon as he got benched and had to have, rehab for his wrist. So he forced his way back early, got his team into the play-in, and lost. Okay. There was no real, everybody pretty much gave him a pass on that because it's like, look, he was hurt. It was his rookie season. He won Rookie of the Year. Expectations were very low. He exceeded expectations his first year. Made him a play-in contender, not a playoff contender, a play-in contender. And if it wasn't for the wrist injury, one could make the argument that they would have made the AFC that year or better because they were at the 5th seed when he got hurt. So they gave him a pass. We get to the second year. Melo's numbers dipped a little bit in areas but improved in others. Defense was still a liability. Nonetheless, they finished with a decent record, and they ended up going to the play-in once again, only to lose to Atlanta. And unfortunately, it fell on Melo's shoulders this time because he decided to have a bad game at the worst time possible in the play-in. He didn't show up to the play-in, even though he had beaten Trae Young and the Hawks in the regular season with little to no problem in multiple matchups. For whatever reason, the lights got brighter, the stage got bigger, and he came up smaller. So, in essence, I'm pretty sure the owner of the team, Michael Jordan, was tired of it. Mitch Kupchak was tired of it. they decided to fire James Borrego. I was an advocate for this. I approved that message. I had been, campaigning for that all season, that the coach was the problem, wasn't making last second adjustments. They lost a lot of games this season that just passed in single digits. They should have won a lot more of these games than what they did. I felt like the coach didn't make the proper adjustments. He needed to go. He was not the coach to get him to the next level, so on and so forth. Now that I got you up to speed, that's 2 years in a row that the Hornets should have been in the playoffs. 8th seed, 7th seed, even 5th seed at best, at the peak. For whatever reason, they couldn't get it together, and they fell short at the end of the season 2 years in a row. Coach Borrego gets fired, released, however you want to word it. The initial report comes out right around the NBA Finals. Might have been during the NBA Finals. Correct me if I'm wrong. Woj reports from ESPN that Kenny Atkinson, former head coach of the Brooklyn Nets prior to the Kyrie and KD, he was the coach there the first year there. Of course, they didn't want a head coach, so he ended up getting fired, and they brought in Steve Nash. He ended up going to Golden State and being an assistant coach behind Mike Brown and head coach Steve Kerr. Mike Brown gets the job at Sacramento for a 4-year deal, and Kenny Atkinson verbally agreed to be the Charlotte Hornets' new head coach for a 4-year deal. So I believe it was about $20 million. At the initial moment that I seen the report, I was ecstatic because I had been rooting for Kenny Atkinson to get this job. I believed that he was the better team option for head coach. He was going to develop. He was going to get Melo an all-star. He was going to get Melo. He was going to do everything he did for D'Lo, who was D'Angelo Russell when he was in Brooklyn. He turned a trash franchise into a contender, a playoff contender, and had D'Angelo Russell looking like a superstar in Brooklyn for 1 year until he got traded and sent off to Golden State. I was wanting the same expectations for LaMelo. I believe he deserves a real head coach that he can respect, a voice that's respected in the locker room across the board. For all the youth and athleticism they have on the roster, they need that leadership, and Melo needs to mature. Long story short, Warriors end up winning the NBA championship, their 4th title in 8 appearances. So we get the report shortly after the finals is over, before the dust really settles and the Warriors are still celebrating their parade, that Kenny Atkinson decides to backpedal on the Hornets job that he just verbally agreed to. And before he could put any ink to paper, decides, I want to stay and go to state. So I'm going to stay here. Here's my theory on what happened. If I could have been an executive in the room or in the building when this went down, this is how I think it went down. Steve Kerr pulled Kenny Atkinson aside and said, Kenny, don't take that job in Charlotte. Charlotte is unraveling right before our eyes. They're not stable. They're scrambling. I'm about to retire soon. Because when Curry's done, I'll probably be done coaching. The team is yours. Mike Brown just took a job in Sacramento, so he's no longer next in line. That puts Kenny Atkinson right underneath Steve Kerr this upcoming season as the head assistant coach or assistant head coach. So, not only does that give him the golden opportunity to become Golden State's, heir to the throne, if you will, once Kerr decides to retire and hang it up, it also, the championship raised his value to turn down gigs that are not so secure. And in all actuality, the Charlotte Hornets, even though they're not as dysfunctional as the Brooklyn Nets, which I have mentioned in various videos and episodes of Heat Check, they're becoming more and more dysfunctional by the day. With free agency looming, contracts expiring, money dwindling, overpaid contracts are hard to move. The list goes on and on and on and on. I don't think he wanted to see Kenny Atkinson go to Charlotte and get fired within 2 seasons because the team is young, hungry, yet the front office is old, incompetent, and just not mentally able to win from the front office standpoint. They're not building a team on foundation that's solid. So he backs out. Then the reports come out that Mike D'Antoni goes into a meeting with Michael Jordan for the head coaching position because he was the runner-up to Kenny Atkinson. Okay, so I'm pivoting at this point. Okay, so my Kenny Atkinson prediction was right, but it was half right. But Mike D'Antoni is the next best thing, and you're thinking, I know most basketball people are thinking, how? Mike D'Antoni's never won a championship. True, Mike D'Antoni's never won a championship, but Mike D'Antoni has made point guards into MVPs. Steve Nash, James Harden. So, at best, not only would the Hornets make the playoffs, because D'Antoni almost always makes the playoffs, Melo Ball was destined and on a fast track to being the next MVP within the next 3 to 5 seasons with Mike D'Antoni at the head coaching position. If I had to take a guess as to why Mike D'Antoni did not get announced as the new head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, I'm going to say that the Hornets couldn't afford what he was asking for. I almost know for a fact that that's what that was. Will it leak out? Probably not. I doubt that there's any reports on why he didn't take the position and why it was, quickly scrapped. But if I had to take a stab at it, I'm going to say it was over money. If I had to take a guess at it, that's what I think happened. More than likely, that's what happened. More than likely, it was a money issue. If I had to take a guess at it. So ultimately, I wake up to a report from Woj that Steve Clifford, former head coach of the Charlotte Hornets when Kemba Walker made his 2 playoff appearances in 5 years, that had been let go by the franchise when he got his job in Orlando, and where he made 3 playoff runs, first-round knockouts with Orlando, ends up getting rehired by the Charlotte Hornets once the D'Antoni interview concluded. Y'all gotta understand something. Steve Clifford, even though he's respected among the coaches of the league, I need somebody to help me understand. What makes y'all think the players on the Charlotte Hornets roster are going to respect Steve Clifford over Kenny Atkinson and Mike D'Antoni? I'm going to do you guys a favor. I'm going to pull up Steve Clifford's coaching record so you can understand why I say what I'm saying and why this doesn't look like a good fit in my honest opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, he has a coaching record of a .458, which means he's not even a 500 coach. He's under 500. He's won 292 games. He's lost 345 games. Playoffs, he's .238. He has won 5 playoff games and lost 16. I need y'all to understand that this was a lateral move by Charlotte. If you're going to hire a coach with a .458 coaching record, you might as well have kept James Borrego. Now, dare I say it? Let's just, for the sake of numbers, let's compare. James Borrego was a .447. So we went from a .447 to a .458 when you could have had Mike D'Antoni at a .560. And let me just pull up, just for the sake of numbers, Kenny Atkinson's coaching record, just so you can understand why I'm struggling to keep my cool. All right, I get it. Kenny Atkinson was a .383, but he has only 1 playoff appearance to his name, And that was the 1 year I mentioned that he made D'Angelo Russell an all-star, and they got knocked out in the first round. I think they were the 6th seed that year. You had an opportunity to have Mike D'Antoni, who has coached Phoenix, Houston, Knicks, assistant coach for the Nets, has mastered the offensive style of basketball, and you turn him down for Steve Clifford. I don't have anything really positive to say other than free Melo Ball. Because if this is the direction that the Charlotte Hornets are going into, I can just tell you right now they don't believe in Melo Ball. Unless Melo Ball is supposed to overcome the impossible. But if I'm Michael Jordan, and I remember as a player, I had coaches that I didn't necessarily agree with or get along with starting out in my career. Why on earth would I want to put LaMelo Ball in a position where he can't win? I would want him to succeed. I would want him to succeed because his success is my success. So, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jumpman himself, the GOAT. You had Stan Albeck your first rookie year. You had Doug Collins after that. And then you had Phil Jackson. And you know you didn't start winning until you had Phil Jackson. So why would you not give LaMelo Ball somebody? I'm not calling Mike D'Antoni and Phil Jackson. We're not going to do that. That's just slanderous. I'm not going to do that. But give him a chance to win. Give him a chance to make a true playoff run for your team so you can win and stop losing as an executive. We know you won as a player. You're 6-0 in the finals. We know your record. We know your stats. Finals MVP, all that. We know what you do. On the court, you are the man. Off the court, you're not the man. Not making moves like this, you're not. This is just not, this doesn't make sense. How do you bring back a coach that you fired? You fired him. You fired him. Not the former regime. You did it. You fired this guy. Now you're bringing him back when you have a team that can get you to the playoffs. You're going to bring in a coach that only made the playoffs before the play-in tournament was created? The 3 times that 5, 3 with Orlando, 2 with your team, the first go-round. You're bringing back a coach that you don't even know if he's going to get you out of the play-in this year. He has yet to prove himself to get you out of the play-in this year. Why is he here? Now, if you're doing this because Melo Ball is with Puma and not Jumpman, this is top-tier level of pettiness, sir. I just can't see. And then I didn't understand why you traded Jalen Duren to Detroit, the team that's pretty much going to take your spot. Because I'm just going to let you know right here, right now. And no, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a Detroit Piston fan through and through. I just love the game of basketball. I'm a student of the game. The Detroit Pistons are going to leapfrog over the Hornets with the moves they're making. The only way the Hornets can salvage this offseason, honestly, you got a few things you can do. Give LaMelo Ball the keys before his rookie extension. If you're not going to re-sign Myles Bridges to what he deserves, get him out of there and go get Deandre Ayton. Because you're going to need a big that can get you an average double-double and spread the floor. Without that, you're not going to make it. Mason Plumlee is not the answer. And no disrespect to the rookie Mark Williams, but he has to show and prove he's a project build. He's not going to be ready the first year out. Most bigs aren't, let's be honest. Most bigs need the first 2 or 3 years to develop their game and find their identity in the league, in the grown man league. They may have been men amongst boys in college and high school. Welcome to the league. Now you got to get your big boy pants on. Now you got to get your grown man on and eat. They're going to feed you in the paint. You got to eat. So in the meantime, go get you somebody that's young that fits your timeline. Y'all know I be talking about that timeline. early to mid-20s. DeAndre Ayton fits right in there like a perfect puzzle piece. Go get DeAndre out of Phoenix. If you're not gonna pay Miles Bridges, send him to Phoenix. Go get DeAndre Ayton. Or do a sign and trade and swap. Make a move. And get Gordon Hayward's contract off the books. And if Terry's not okay with coming off the bench as a sixth man with that contract, he can go too. Y'all gotta make some change. Y'all gotta shake this thing up. Hornets been underperforming. For the amount of talent and youth you have right now, you should not be missing the playoffs. Melo Ball is a superstar. And if you don't figure it out, your superstar is going to go to La La Land or a market big enough for his brand. You're going to lose Melo Ball. Because Melo Ball is bigger than Charlotte. Melo Ball might want to just go home. Pick up his ball and go home. So either you figure it out and make the team around him great, because he can make his players great around him. They all got that ability. But you got to give them the tools to be successful, MJ. This your team. And if Mitch Kupchak can't cut the mustard, then you need to cut him too. Because he's screwing up your franchise. Y'all looking real lost right now. Y'all looking real scrambled. The Detroit Pistons about to take your spot. They on the come up. The Cavaliers, come up. If my Indiana Pacers take notes, they on the come up. Y'all better figure it out before the Pacers do. I'm trying to tell you, the Hornets had a window to break into the playoffs, and your window is closing fast. And with Steve Clifford, I don't even know if the window's open anymore. He got to show me. Because every year I've seen Steve Clifford, he underperformed. With talented Orlando rosters, mind you. Why you think he ain't there no more? If he's so good of a coach, he would still have a job, right? You wouldn't have had to rehire him back. So, that's my, at the end of the day, that's my ISO mode for the Charlotte Hornets. Leave a message in the comments of what teams you want me to do next. There's plenty of teams I can do. I was thinking about doing the Chicago Bulls next, possibly. But if you got better teams you want me to do, let me know. Again, this is Ty Slatter here with another episode of GTA's Heat Check ISO Mode. Make sure you follow GTA Heat Check, GTA Sports Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, GTA Sports. And don't forget GTASportsnet.com for all things in world of sports. It's Ty Slatter. And until next time, take care.